So, welcome back to Chapter 4, The Little Shop of Suppression Horrors. Now, that's a catchy title for a for a chapter. However, unfortunately, the book is written by good old Peat, the naturopathic quack. And oh boy. So, a quick refresher from the last chapter, as we discussed. His entire philosophy is based on a pre-scientific idea called the four humours. In fact, it's so pre-scientific, it is considered non-scientific, because that's how pre-science it was. And yet, naturopaths in particular are taught this as science fact. So, we're not going to read all this chapter because, again, like the last chapter, there's very little point reading all this chapter because, quite frankly, the parts that we're going to read are, quite frankly, terrifying enough. And, again, he has a habit of basically repeating himself, and I really don't want to get in the habit of literally just saying, hang on, I've just said that. So, let's begin, shall we? If the medical treatment delivered to an out-of-balance symptomatic system is suppressive, an interesting thing happens. Remember, the symptoms of the illness were present in the first place as the reaction of the body to the impact of some stress. Again, as we discussed in the last chapter, this idea of stress is, again, all linked to the four humours. Again, you cannot rebalance this. It is, your body is not a pair of weighing scales. This is not how the body works. The idea of the four humours is beyond ridiculous, but again, this guy believes in it, and this, again, is pretty much the chapter where he's going to affirm his beliefs to the four humours, which again are completely wrong and misfounded. It's kind of like if you had someone snuck up on you from behind and tried to push you over. Your body would automatically react in a way to try and keep you upright. Symptoms appear in the very same manner. They are a reflection of how your body is compensating for the effect of some stress. So again, you get illnesses, or, you might have a heart attack, or you might get cancer, or, some really, a virus or something like that might come along and affect you because of some stress on your body, which is, again, completely false. But again, this is the guy who said, without stress, people wouldn't die. So, again, you should be able to clearly see what you believe we're dealing with. Where were we? Yeah. When a suppressive medicine, or medicine really, is delivered into an off-balance symptomatic system, it's like kicking the crutches out from underneath someone. That's not how medicine works. Medicine is designed to work with your body and fight, help your body to fight off, diseases and illnesses. That's what medicine does. That's what it's proven to do. The symptom suppressive medicine is removing the compensating mechanism generally generated by the body in the first place. Let's be clear on this. The symptoms complex of the illness is how the body is compensating for the action of the stressor. So essentially, the more severe your illness, the more your body is compensating for the stressor. So the more severe your cancer is, the more you are being stressed. That is the biggest load of woo-woo quackery I've heard to date in this book, and we're not even at the later chapters yet. I know what's coming. You don't. The symptoms of the illness may be unpleasant, painful, or both, but they are what the body, in its wisdom, has chosen to do. Oh my god, right, so let me just reread this, right? The symptoms of the illness may be unpleasant or painful or both, but they are what the body, right, in its wisdom, so your body is choosing to harm yourself and give you cancer, heart disease, arthritis, whatever, has chosen to do to deal with the situation. So your body is basically hurting itself on purpose to try and rebalance itself. Again, this is not how the body works. This is not how medicine works. Interestingly enough, the body is not so easy outmaneuvered. After administration of a suppressive drug, the body redoubles its efforts to generate a stronger symptom. So basically, taking medicine is a waste of time, he's saying. This is why antibiotics, pain meds, antidepressants, anti-inflammatory medicines all need to be increased, that's wrong, after a few weeks or months of use. Again, that is completely and 100% wrong. As they suppress the symptoms that the body is generating, so it's not the illness that's doing it, that's causing it, it's the body generating the symptoms to try and rebalance itself. Because again, for humours, and for humours is complete quackery. As they suppress the symptoms that the body is generating, the body fights back, producing stronger symptoms. So the drug needs to be strengthened to meet the challenge, and we go on and on until death do us part. That is, again, 100% stupid. It's not how the body works. It's not how medicine works. You know, I really don't need to keep on reading this, but this guy has already shown him to be an absolute quack, and yet people read this and think this guy is some sort of genius. This is unbelievable. Now, we continue. Now, who benefits from a medical strategy like this? I know, it's a tough question. Here, take this medicine, it won't cure your condition, but it will. He's presented no evidence to the fact that he's not actually said any medicines at the moment in this book that will not cure what they are designed and produced to cure. He has not mentioned any such sort of medicines, at least not specifically by name. Here, take this medicine, it won't cure your condition, but it will make you feel a little better temporarily. So apparently all medicines that have been scientifically proven to work are just a placebo, which is so false. You will need to take it every day. Eventually it will stop working, which again, what medicines are you referring to? You don't say anything specifically. What is your evidence? He doesn't say any. At which time you will need to increase the dose, and we will need to keep increasing the dose in this matter until the side effects become too unbearable or the drug kills you. Okay, oh, by the way, it will cost $80 per pill. Will that be cash or credit? Bearing in mind this guy promotes his quackery supplement nonsense, which is 4 times more expensive than this supposed $80 pill. Again, what pill is he referring to? So the pharmaceutical companies have had us over a barrel, and they know it. For the last 100 years, we have been the victims of a medical model that encourages symptom suppression over disease cure. That is the most misrepresentation of modern medicine I have ever heard. But oh, it gets better. It's time we all snapped out of it and got a clue, but I digress. In the little shop of suppression horrors, there are 3 rooms of trouble. They are as follows. So we're not going to go into all these 3 rooms, but needless to say, room 1 basically can be summed up by this. If you suppress a symptom for long enough, the body gets tired of fighting it and gives up. Basically what he says is that the more you take the suppressive, drugs from, the medical industry, the weaker your immune system becomes and is unable to fight it. Well, that is complete bullshit, right? That is not what happens. If that was the case, people who've had bacterial or viral infections would just keep on getting it again and again and again. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. In fact, vaccines are a prime example, because vaccines should technically fit into your little suppression thing, and yet again you vaccinate people and guess what, people don't get that virus. So room 2 is basically reaffirming that, basically says, your body gets essentially weaker. Again, from this quote here, just as discussed, when a symptom is suppressed long enough, the body gives up and falls back to its next level of defense. Is that good or bad? It is bad. Why? Because each time the system falls back a level, it gets weaker. So basically, he's just mentioned, essentially room 1 and room 2 are basically the exact same. Now, room 3 gets quite hilarious. Now he goes on to talk about side effects. Now, he's basically said in this chapter that because you take drugs, or you're taking medicines, your body produces side effects because you are suppressing the symptoms that your body is generating to fight the illness. But that is not the case. The illness is the problem, and in many cases it might be something wrong with your body that has caused this illness to generate. Again, from a guy who says that your body can somehow miraculously cure itself, that is just not the case. So what does he go on to mention? Well, I'm going to have to read this entire one in its entirety, because what he says is just absolutely flabbergasting, and he's about to pull a Godwin's Law. Room 3, side effects. A side effect of a drug is like a poisoning. No, it's not. It is caused by the drug. No, it's not. Kind of like drinking too much tequila. I think this guy likes tequila. From the Monday Times, he's mentioned it already. You vomit and you get a bad headache. It was the tequila that caused it. Isn't this just a lovely situation? You go to your doctor with a health complaint. He gives you a drug that suppresses your symptoms. Maybe you feel better, maybe you don't. If your symptoms do get better, it is because they were suppressed. That is not the case. If that is essentially a cure, this guy basically can't admit that if someone takes a medicine and they get better, they have been cured. Yet he claims there is no such thing as a cure from these medicines. If your symptoms do get better, it was because they were suppressed, and they are soon replaced by a different set of symptoms that your allopath will tell you just as a result of getting old or are unrelated to the previous treatment. And they are. You are then given a new suppressive medication. It gives you a whole new set of symptoms because of its side effects. So your MD plays around with a few of the meds until he finds the one that don't make you feel so bad. But still, your original problems persist. Eventually the meds make your system weak so that you die. That is 100% false, and that's rich coming from a naturopath. Now, it's a well-known fact that naturopaths are basically told, prescribe whatever the hell you want, because, hey, 5 different naturopaths from the same person will prescribe a whole different treatment, whole new different treatments of drugs, and say that you've got 5 different magical, wonderful diseases. Why? Because eventually it's money in their pocket. And again, to say that, you know, these things suppress you and make you weaker and that you die, where's your evidence? Where's your scientific proof that the modern medicines that we take make us weaker and eventually kill us? You present none. So just because, and just as you present evidence like this, I can dismiss it without evidence. Even if you are one of the lucky ones to escape the Grim Reaper's sickle as a result of your MD's care, you are still sick, symptomatic and suffering. No, you're not. This is just what this guy's basically asserting you are. And again, this entire book is convincing you, trying to convince you that even if you are like 100% fit and healthy, that you're ill. Because why? You'll come to him, you'll spend some money, you'll buy his supplements, and hey, you'll be hooked forever then, basically. This is what passes for good medical care. We've all been brainwashed by the allopathic medical model so completely that, like little lemmings happily following each other off their cliff to their doom, we gladly follow our friends and neighbours off the allopathic cliff of pharmaceutical medicine and unnecessary surgery to our deaths. And this is just so wrong, and in a way to just say this, it's unbelievable. And then this is where I said he'd Paul Godwin, and this is where he does it. Meanwhile, the owners of the drug companies are laughing all the way to the bank. For the icing on the cake, here's an interesting historical anecdote I excerpted from the website of the Alliance for Human Research Protection. IF Farben was the most powerful German corporate cartel in the first half of the 20th century, and the single largest profiteer from Second World War. IG stands for Association of Common Interest. IG Farben introduced BAS, Bayer, Hochst, and other German chemical and pharmaceutical companies. IG Farben was the only German company in the Third Reich to run its own concentration camp. At least 30,000 slave workers died in this camp. A lot more were deported to gas chambers. It was no coincidence that IG Farben built their giant new plant in Auschwitz, since the workforce they used, altogether 300,000 people, was practically for free. The Xylon B gas, which killed millions of Jews, gypsies and other unfortunates, was produced by IG Farben's subsidiary company, Ageist. It was just like, okay, they were a German company and they were producing things. There are tons of German companies still today that have ties back to Nazi things. So what? You know, Hugo Boss designed, you know, uniforms for the SS. BMW, you know, made, you know, machinery for designed cars for the Nazi war machine. So what? A lot of these companies have a bad past. Just because they have the bad past doesn't mean they are the same company today. And, you know, trying to equate this is nothing more than trying to convince people that drug companies are bad because drug companies are bad. That is this guy's and other people who support this guy's argument. Drug companies are bad. Why are they bad? They're bad because they're bad, essentially. Did you notice that one of the members of IGB Farben was a drug company called Breyer? Yes, the same company that makes Breyer aspirin. Bet you didn't know that. Now, think for a moment. How would it be possible for a company connected with German death camps of World War II to be able to continue to exist and turn a profit? Perhaps the light is beginning to break in your mind as the awesome power of the pharmaceutical companies have in the world. Well, it's not just them. There are a load of other companies, and again, it's not hidden. Most of them freely admit this, but again, they are not the companies that they were back then. If they can snowball the entire world in forgetting their connection with the Nazis, how good do you think they are at convincing you their products exclusively, even though they are ineffective and are killing you? Again, what evidence have you shown to show that these drugs are ineffective? You've named antidepressants, but what antidepressants? You've named antiviral drugs. What antiviral drugs? What specifically drugs do not work? You are presenting supposed evidence and then not saying anything. This is ridiculous. And then to go on and say that, oh, there's this drug company that was working for the Nazis, you should be scared and terrified. Well, I'm sorry, Pete, but you're an idiot. And that was just chapter 4. So, chapter 5, when we get to it, is healthcare schmelthcare. So, that one basically talks about how inadequate the healthcare system is again. And oh boy, video on that coming soon. But again, I've had enough for today.